try some stuff. Wow. So, for anybody who's curious, I finished pumpkin spice and she looks quite lovely. I mean, there might be some things that aren't quite perfect, and there are some things that I need to do to make sure that she is ready to go into the printing pipeline, but she's pretty stinking fun. Sorry, we're looking at the backside. Here's the storytelling side. This is fun. I really enjoy this. Um, let's do some stuff. Get her ready for some 3D printing action. So a few things that I want to make sure that I am careful of and that I am aware of when I am prepping her is that I want to make sure that I'm prepping her for like two different sizes. One size will be to kind of match pumpkin sweet tooth, which I don't currently have out here. I have him kind of like up over here somewhere. um, but I want to think about having her at that scale, which a lot of the thicknesses will work really nicely at that scale. The things that I'll want to make solid are things like the bow. The bow has like this hollow space in the inside. I want to make sure that I have. Well, I need to make sure that I clean out the inside of the cup, the mug, so that it's solid. All the cream down to the mug. It's all one solid piece. The inside of the mouth, the inside of the eyes. The inside of the eyes should be fairly simple because they're not very, like, the eye bag is not very deep. So it should not have too many issues. The eyelashes, those will likely cause issues if I'm not careful. Something, in fact, I might need to go ahead and grab Sweet Tooth just for the sake of having him close so that I can compare sizes and whatnot. Let me do that. I'm going to grab Sweet Tooth. Alright, so now that we've got Sweet Tooth, we can go ahead and we can kind of compare a little bit better. So just so that you guys can see, in fact, I gotta make a new scene. Hold on, give me a minute. We'll say oh, you know what? Let's duplicate this. And then in this one, we're going to take the webcam. Oh, it's not what I wanted. Let's lock that so that it's not. We need to do the webcam. There we go. How about that? All right. So there's that and there's that. All right. Here, we need to make sure that the frame is locked. We need to make sure that. Here, let's go ahead and lock this. We'll lock this. Okay. Sorry, we're going back and forth quite a bit. And we'll lock this because now we're in the webcam mode. We're good. We're all right. It's all hip and groovy. Okay. So here's Sweet Tooth, right? So I want to make sure that I'm kind of prepping so that when I print pumpkin spice out, she feels like she's the same size. So she's good for display and things like that. Um, so I'm going to keep him kind of down here. I do need her to be slightly larger. I am going to compare based on head size. That looks pretty good. Maybe slightly larger, but this is really pretty good. Okay. So that's about how she'll end up being. And just so that I don't lose track of it, let's go ahead and lock that camera. Oh my goodness, you guys won't be able to see any of that. I went through and kind of scaled her up so that she kind of matched on the screen. I'm going to measure her. Oh, you know what? Let's turn off perspective. Let's say something like this is good. Okay, so roughly 6.5 inches tall. This translates into something around 17 centimeters. We'll say 17 centimeters. Let's go ahead and write that down. Okay, so this is a point. Hey, Leonard. Hey, Bella. How you doing? Yeah, so we're going to get her ready to print. There are a lot of things I need to do to clean up. I'm just going through and kind of trying to determine things like the scale real quick, because I felt like that would be super helpful. One of the other things I want to add is kind of a skin texture, not like a human skin, but I want it to feel kind of kind of like it's got like this surface detail to it that maybe like a pumpkin skin would have. So let's come in here. I'm going to come to noise. I'm tempted to stick with what I like here. So let's come over here. Obviously that's not looking right, but we're going to fix that. In fact, I should probably just go ahead and like save my defaults so that it's not miserable. It's something kind of like that. We're going to take that the strength and we're going to flip it in the opposite direction. That might be too big still. I'm going to say, let's say mask by noise, just so that we can kind of get a good gauging on what this is like. We'll say Control H to hide that, and we'll say inflate in the negative direction. Not that much though. She's losing volume. I'm not going to worry about it then. I'm just not going to worry about it. I think it's going to be just fine the way it is. It has been a long time, Bella. I think since Lightbox, right? How you been? Okay, so at the scale that I want, oh, I totally forgot to like bookmark my view. That's a little bit short. Yeah, but I was thinking like the inside of the, yeah, so 17, 18 centimeters like that. The thing that I'm wanting to try to do is, or that I was wanting to try to do is like the inside of the inside, like the flesh of the pumpkin rather than the skin, I guess. It, and granted, it's very fibrous. It's like it has more of like a directionality to it, I guess. But I was thinking it could be cool to have some sort of I'll say roughness detail to it. I don't think that that's really quite the I don't think that's really quite the sentiment that I have. Hey, Kaylin, how you doing? But we'll see. We'll make do with what it's got, what it's given us. Let's see. Okay, so first things first. Let's do the low hanging fruit. Let's go with this bow. Okay, I am going to say. Okay, so you can see how this is built up. Okay, you can see that it's got a loop. It's a full complete piece. Okay, so that's nice. That'll make it a lot easier to a lot easier to handle. and say select lasso. I think, let's say delete lower right here. And then we can start to get rid of some loops in here. And then we can commit our deletions, get rid of the interior pieces, and make it all one solid thing. So let's say modify topology, delete hidden. Here, let's say delete higher, delete hidden. Okay. Control A, Control W. We'll say Control A, Control W, just so we can get like these different polygroups. Control A, Control W, and now we can just grab this piece, invert, and say delete hidden, Control W, and then we'll say close holes. Huzzah! Let's go ahead and select Redshift materials are best used with the Redshift renderer. Please activate the Redshift and the Redshift. Okay, whatever. Doesn't matter much. MRGB, color, fill object. In fact, let's go ahead and select this. We'll say color, fill object. So that way it looks nice and dark in there, even though it's very obviously just a trick. One of the other things that we can do, if we wanted to, and I think we do, I'm just going to kind of smooth that out, because what this is going to allow me to do is just have kind of the appearance of like this nice, thick, round, fluffy material, and get kind of the look of. It might be a little bit too aggressive here, a little bit too aggressive there. So you can see it's still getting me the appearance of the bow itself without having to worry about. Here, let's turn off RGB because we don't need it to smooth out the color. It's still getting me the appearance of the bow without having to worry about that stuff happening. You know, it's pretty nice. Let me see. Did you know that any squash pollen can pollinate any other squash? The problem is that it creates a hybrid. So if you use the seeds next year, you might get a pumpkin that's long orange pumpkin has zucchini stripe pattern. That's pretty cool. Are you still teaching it? No. Yes. Yes, I am. I am indeed. Current term is going really nicely. It's been a really good, fun group. Oh, this little friend right here. Need to make sure that is definitely like touching down with the forehead. And I'll make sure that it's kind of coming in and closing that gap too. Just to give myself a little bit more solid of a connection. I might at some point go through and make sure that this is like sculpted together so that this is nice and you know, has a nicer flow, a little less abrupt of a change there. I don't know. It's one of those things because I don't want to clean it up by hand later when it's when it's resin. Okay, so the bow's looking good. Okay, some other things that we need to do. Let's go ahead and grab these tights. You can see the tights are open, so that's kind of nice. We'll say delete lower, dynamic. We'll just say apply. Sure, delete lower again. I'm going to say close holes. Modify topology, close holes. Now those are watertight, and we don't have to worry about too much else needing to happen there. The fingernails are going to be an issue. I'm just going to kind of inflate and then smooth, just to kind of get a bit better of a transition between fingernail and finger, so that way it kind of spreads out the sharpness of that edge, makes it so it's a little less intense, and it yeah, it keeps it a little bit more in, gives it just a bit more stability. Lots of fun, lots and lots and lots of fun. Okay, we're getting pretty close on these. That other fingernail in here isn't as important, so we can just kind of take that and we'll say delete lower, delete hidden. It should be fine. Okay, let me see, just to check and see. That tail looks great. I think that, I'll definitely key this in so that it's, might be checking out class in June. Cool. That'd be cool. Going to drive into more texturing today. Yeah, so today, oh wait, let me see. Okay. Hey, gorgeous. Let's see. Let's come over here to the mug. So one thing that I can do is that since this mug has nice clean topology, I can just go ahead and say, let's say dynamic, apply. We'll say delete lower. And I can technically just go ahead and get rid of this modified topology, delete hidden, close holes, and that'll work pretty dandy. One thing that will need to happen after I boolean these things together, I will definitely need to take, because like if, in fact, let me show you this piece. This is what this looks like on the underside. It's definitely leaving me some open spaces, and I do want to check and make sure that I'm not getting any gaps here. Because if I leave a gap there, then it'll have an open hole, and it'd just be a mess, and I don't want a mess. I don't want a mess. Okay, so we're gonna say move topological just to make sure that I'm filling in that whole ring, and that should be pretty dandy. Should be pretty dandy. The cinnamon stick has a hole going through it, so let's see if we can. Let's see if we can kind of, yeah, something like that maybe. And then I'm going to come down here and say inflate. I'm just going to, wow, that was too much. Let's come in here then. Let's see if we can get this to be a little bit more controlled. Oops. Here, I'm just going to try to like drag these things around a little bit. Yeah, and that'll work nicely. That'll give me the sense of the depth of a hole there, and then the rest of this should be, deleted. That should work pretty nicely. In fact, just for the sake of being able to kind of show what's going to happen, let's go ahead and say mug, and those should be all those pieces there. So let's go ahead and say Boolean dynamic subdivisions. So just to show you what's going on here, here's the outside shell of this mug. if we invert our selection, this is like the inside of the cream and whatever other little holes were created. I was expecting more holes, so that means that there may have been an issue with the way that things were connecting here. But let's check this out and let's see. Let's delete hidden just so we don't have those things in there. I'm going to let's just hide a couple polygroups here, just so we can look up into the cinnamon and see what we got. Yeah, you can see like it didn't quite fill in that hole. I do want it to fill in that hole. I'm trying to see if I can figure out exactly where that happened. Let's go up. We'll just kind of come in here and just make sure that we're getting as much of a tight space as possible. I guess the other thing that I could do is I could come in here and say, we could say an insert sphere of this sort and just like make it nice and big so that it fits, but then drag it down and in so that it's not too deep. Let's say mRGB color fill object, just so we can get a better understanding of like what it is that we're dealing with here. Hey Kareem, how you doing? Okay, so we're gonna do something like that. Let's come down here, we'll say delete this one, turn this back on, turn off solo mode, and now we can go ahead and say Boolean with dynamic subdivisions. Okay, so now theoretically, Control Shift A, here are, yeah, there's our little floating piece in there that we wanted to get rid of. So that's perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. Delete hidden. Okay, so there's our little watertight, printable, 3D printable mug. Yeah, let's go ahead and make sure that our polygroups are a little bit cleaned up. Okay, is that all that? What is that polygroup? Oh, I see. I see, I see, I see. I see, said the blind man. Okay. Go ahead and grab that full cinnamon stick. Control W. Let's grab the cream. Make sure that we have just the cream. It looks like we're good. Alright, now our mug's nice and beautifully separated into polygroups. My voice sounds far. It is a new mic. It is a headset. Yeah, yeah. I decided to get the new headset so that I could have. Let me check real quick though, just so that I can make sure that everything is honky dory. More volume settings. Razer headphones. Output. Is this going to be like sounds like it's output for me. Microphone. Yeah, because I mean, like on my Restream or on my Streamlabs app, it's up as high. This is Windows 11. Um, so it's like got all these different. It's all set up so differently now. Yeah, I think the microphone's going to be. Oh, here we go. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Okay, yeah, it is using my current mic. Sorry, I'm like tapping on things to. That's so rude. But it's in the very least, I think I could probably do something like that. Maybe that'll. Is that doing something better? Maybe it'll make Leonard's ears bleed or something without. Did it get loud? Did that work? Did that help anything? Hopefully it did. I mean, that's all that I know how to get to. Because this is technically the device that I should be. Yeah, that should be the device that it's using. It's the same. well, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Yeah, I can add a filter. I'm not going to add filters though. There are always complaints. I think there must be something on. I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to worry about it. You worry about it. Yeah, I'm just like, I don't want to worry about sound. That's not what we're here for. Oh, you know what? Let's instead of using that one, let's use this one. We'll say deformation, inflate. Because what this is going to help me with is making sure that I have a thick enough of an eyelash. I do kind of want to thin it out toward the center though. The shape is getting too thick and too chunky down here. But I do want to make sure that stays nice and thick. The eyelashes, like these the wings, that's going to be kind of a pain, kind of hard to deal with. Let's say always yes. Let's go ahead and cut them off. Control Shift A, Control D, W, not Control D. Boof. I am going to try. Oops. Let's grab these and mask it a little bit. I just want to try to make sure that that has a strong enough connection so that when it's printed out, and it should work pretty well at this scale. If not, I'm going to have to figure out some other way of like sculpting it with some epoxy or something like that, and then affixing it some other way. because these points are definitely going to be fragile. But it is what it is. Let's see. Let's go ahead and play with this leaf. This leaf is going to be fun. I have this current leaf that we made during the stream on Saturday. I think I have it currently set to just be on dynamic. Um, let's turn off the smoothing. We'll say apply. And say cool. That's what we want. You know what? Got an idea. Let's go ahead and mask out that whole bottom one, and then we'll just smooth on the top. Because what that'll do is that'll give us kind of an impression that it's rounding down, that it's thinning out. Um, they did a lot of this on Disney Infinity, and it was a really helpful way for them to get things like capes or long flowy clothing or hair, things like that. Yeah, let's go ahead and give just a little bit more smoothing there. It's like I'm trying to be careful so that I don't lose different form details, different shapes and things that I've tried to build into it. Right here's going to be one of those issues here. Let's see, play with that some. Let's get this to come back so that we get a little bit nicer of a shape. And we're going somewhere. Okay. This bit is quite messy. A lot of it is, but I want to make sure that I'm not losing volume. I want to make sure that I'm not getting too thin. Let's kind of pull this over. Yeah, it's all about playing. It's all about trying to get things to work as best you can. Okay. So what's cool about this is that, especially since we have the poly group here on the bottom, we can just kind of, oops, yep, just soften it, just soften that mask a little bit. And I want to bring this so that this is penetrating with the pumpkin itself. Here in this middle section, this is going to become like just thick and solid, and it's not going to be very much like a leaf at all. Peter, how you doing? Just been up midterms. Congratulations. Yeah, that's a good feeling. Midterms, man. Midterms. Yeah, we're nearing the end of our term, so it's like, yeah, there's a lot going on, but people, like some of my okay, one student in particular, that when she was in my class, she's not in my class anymore, but when she was in my class, she was extremely on top of things, and um, and was always ahead of the curve on trying to get her renders out the door, like before the last week, and um, and so she was she would log into any free computer in the lab and she would run render sequences on them. And this last class period, I walked in and I saw all the computers occupied by her, all rendering out things for her finals. Just so funny. I was like, yep, yep, she hasn't changed. Okay. Just gonna try to change this a little bit so that the leaf feels like it's sitting on top. Kind of pull on that a little bit. This is working out pretty nicely though. It's funny, it's not often that I can ever actually hear my computer. Um, right now I feel like it's during streaming I think is probably when I can hear it the most. Um, but it's great. The new computer has been awesome. Yeah, let's give this a little bit more of like this sort of shape. In fact, let's say something more like this. Pull this down. Again, just trying to fill in holes, just trying to finish things out so that it feels printable, so that it feels, feels controlled. Let me see. For something like, if you remember in the concept, there's like this sprig of like curl kind of coming out the top of the pumpkin. I will be doing that with wire, and I will likely have to I'll just use a drill and just drill a little hole into the top of the pumpkin so that it's easy to have that come out exactly where I want it, and to have the hole be the right size. Makes it a little easier. I remember watching Superman yesterday. Oh, the animated series, TAS, is that what that stands for? I was like, why is this so good? That's fun. That is fun. Okay, one of the things I'm going to want to do, in fact, I'm going to do it like this. Let's come up here to turn off the hair. And let's we'll leave it, I guess. That's fine. So we've got the character. Oh, the mouth. The mouth is the other thing I want to fix before I don't. Let's come in here. I'm going to say, let's just go deformation inflate. Okay. I'm not entirely sure that that will fix everything. It might. It might not. So that'll be pretty nice. The other thing that I want to do Let's grab this poly group. And we're going to say geometry, delete lower, modify topology, delete hidden, close holes. That's like my cheat for for getting the inside of the mouth to work. And you know, most of the time, things like that will work really quite nicely. The inside of the eyes, like I said, they're not very deep, and the eyes fit the eyeballs cover that area really nicely, so it's not really a huge deal either way. Let's go ahead and grab these eyebrows, make sure that they have resolution turned up. Okay. The thing that I'm going to want to do, let's go ahead and commit this so we can see where it is that things are working and not working. Let's say Boolean with dynamic subdivisions. Okay. And then, oh, come on, you. Control Shift A. So you can see there are our floating bits. Okay. Delete hidden. Cool. So now everything in there looks like it's working pretty nicely. I mean, there is a little bit of like that gap down there. I'm not going to worry about that though, because that feels like that's probably all right. The thing that I want to try to do though, here, we can come over here just super easily and just turn this off. It's not really a big deal right now. Okay. Let's get kind of a cool clay material look here. Okay, I'm going to say let's turn on the Sculptress Pro, and I just want to smooth this in some so that it's nice and clean for printing, so that it looks like it's integrated, so that it's not looking like it's just sticking into her head. In fact, here, let's go through and kind of smooth this area out just a little bit more so that there's like a little bit of a tightness here and not so much here on the back. So you got tightness on the front, not so much on the back. Okay. The reason I did it without the hair is that I wanted to be able to make sure that I got those horns worked in nice and clean. Just makes things so much easier. So now I can go ahead and I can work in the mug. I can work in the hair. Let's say control folder. Oh hey, body. Oh shoot. Let's go ahead and turn that on. Let's grab the hair and pull it down. Let's turn off our solo mode. I'm going to grab that mug that we made. Let's pull that in. Let's turn off the pumpkin. So essentially this is all we've got. Oh, it's got kind of, everything got messed up, but it's okay. It's going to get kind of messed up further once we Boolean things out. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. In fact, maybe just for the sake of being able to fix this a little bit, we can just kind of smooth that. Since it doesn't need to be super detailed there anyway. That is a little bit different than I would have liked. I didn't pay attention enough. I didn't pay enough attention. Here, let's go ahead and kind of strengthen these shapes just a little bit more. And then we'll come back over here and we'll just kind of smooth this in. I'm not super worried. And we'll just kind of like cut that detail back in. We'll just go through and kind of refine it just a little bit just so that it feels like it's not a mistake, you know? Just makes it a little nicer. That's gonna be messy. Yeah, let's go ahead and lower that intensity so that it's not so crazy. By the way, anybody who's here right now, I'm super honored that you're here instead of watching the Shane Olsen jam away on ZBrush Live. Alright, let's go ahead and grab this now. This feels like it's working pretty well. Everything else feels like it's working pretty well. Okay, let's check and see how that hair looks with the horns. It looks pretty decent. I like it. We'll like it. We'll like it. Yeah, that's pretty groovy. All right, so let's do this thing. Let's say, yeah. I'm cheating. I've got you on one screen, Shane on the other. That's funny. All right, and there's that piece. Cool. Yeah, everything's looking really tight. I mean, this is obviously a place where things are penetrating, and I'm okay with that. Um, ¿Por qué no los dos? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Here's where we want to kind of go through and incorporate the hair a little bit better. That looks better. It's getting a little bit crisp right here, so I'm just going to try to work out some of that crispness. I want it to have creases, but I don't want it to feel too too uniform, like too sharp all the time. Let's get this to like fade in and then fade out. Um, let's get some of that kind of worked in around a little bit over there. She's looking good. She's really, really fun. And now we have her set up in a way that she can be printed by herself, right? The tough part is trying to listen to both of you. Yeah. Leonard is trying to use 100% of his brain power. He always does. He always has. All cylinders firing. Hey, Serene, how you doing? All right. So here is what I want to do. There are a couple of pieces that my head hurts. Poor guy. There are a couple of things that I want to be able to split off and to make it their own thing. Um, I'm going to take. Oh, cool. For some reason, I thought that that would be part of the head. Um, I do want this, however, to be part of its own thing. So let's, or like get a couple different poly groups out of this. So let's do some stuff. Not poly paint. What am I looking for? Poly groups. Okay, so we're going to grab this. And this. Oh, we're getting some gaps down in there. I don't really want those gaps, but might be all right. Let's grab all these different poly groups that belong to parts of the head. I don't know if I have another poly group available for the oh, there's another part of the hair, it looks like. Let's come down here, grab both of those from the bow. That should hopefully be all that we need. I'm going to take this, I'm going to say Control W. That whole head. Actually, the bow, I could probably leave the bow as its own thing too. So let's say Control W. We'll say Control W so that we have the bow as its own thing, the head as its own thing. Just because what's going to happen is that, like, if I print this all together, this is going to be a really tight space to try to have to print or paint rather. So by making this separate, that'll be much easier to deal with. Shane is done. Well, I'm happy that you could be here. Yeah, so just as a rundown, this is Pumpkin Spice. We were able to finish her as part of well, in part as part of the ZBrush live stream that I was able to do on Saturday, and then I worked on her a bit in my spare time between then and now, and so now we're coming through and having fun. Um, the body, I'm going to have the body be one piece, but I'm going to have this arm be its own thing. I'm going to have to separate it kind of in an awkward place, but that'll be fine because this spot back here, I can probably get that to be here. Let's go through here. We'll say slice curve, boom. Just something like that. Just a really simple slice right there. Is going to be in kind of a hidden spot, so I don't really have to worry too much about anything else. Okay, the only thing that I want to go through and really super worry about is retirement. Just kidding. Let's go through here. Oh, you know what? Let's do this. We're going to hide the head. We're going to hide the bow. Okay. And in fact, I've got to try to think about how I wanna do this. Let's go ahead and say subtool. Bring this all the way down to the bottom. I'm going to say let's close that, and we'll close that as well. Let's say, make this a folder. We're just going to say, let's not name it cut. Let's rename it pieces. I'm not entirely sure what I want to call it right now. Let's do this. I'm going to say, let's grab the arm pieces because those will be things that will be mirrored polygroups. And then we can just invert our visibility. Oh, the thumb. Let's get that thumb in there as well. And technically we could go through here and also grab the mug. And we'll grab that. So now we have these two things here. I'm just going to say auto groups. Okay. That way I have the arm. I can separate that. It's going to be nice and simple to deal with. Okay. Oh, actually let's do this so that we can invert it and so that we can say here, Control W, so we have that whole arm as one piece. All right. So what I want to do real quick, let's go ahead and grab some of these pieces that we've already kind of cleaned off. We got some extra little floaters out here. You see floaters over here too. What do those things belong to? Probably the hair. Let's grab that because that seems like it'll be good for keeping holes closed. Let's see if we can find where they came from. Yeah, right in there. So purely for the sake of not shortcutting ourselves. Now we've got the green and the red there, so we've got that full piece. Because like what'll happen is that if I don't take care of that whole piece, then it'll likely leave me with some gaps that'll make things really odd. Hey, that's my line. Not experienced with printing. I want to know, why are you grouping things together? So the reason I'm grouping things together is so that I can go ahead and separate things really, really easily. So yeah, if we look at this right now, I have here. Let me turn off the line really quickly. I'm going to be grouping things according to whatever the main pieces will be. So for instance, I'll have this arm, I'll have the head, the bow, the body, which will include the other arm and the tails and the torso, or not the tail, the legs and the torso, and then the tail will be its own thing. So here, let me go ahead and kind of isolate that. Control W. So you can see there's that. In fact, let's turn that around. Grab that. Grab that. Grab that. Okay, so now there is our last piece. Okay, so now all these different polygroups indicate a different piece, and I want to make sure that with each of these different pieces, one that scale wise it's going to fit on my printer, which it will, because of the way that we split this up. I mean, even whole, it looks like she would probably fit, but it's I can get a cleaner result if I split this up and have things done in that sort of way. So then what I can do is I can say split by group split. Okay. So now you can see I've got head, bow, tail, and we'll do some cleanup here in a minute. Arm. There's going to be a lot of process coming after this, so it's definitely not the end of the road. It's just kind of the end of this particular bit. So so yeah, now we've got the body. One thing that I want to make sure that we do, and it it may be worthwhile to bring in part of the character's body just to be able to fill in this gap here on the shoulder. We'll have to see that here in just a second. So let's see. Let's take the body. We're going to say geometry, fill holes, close holes. So you can see this is what we're getting. So now this is a solid piece. Okay. I'm going to go up. Same thing, close holes. And this might be another opportunity where maybe I take because this is something that's actually kind of it's going to be kind of important. It's getting that hair. I want the hair to fit over the top of the body. I think that having the body intact will be nice. So let's do this instead. Let's say Control Shift D. I'm going to bring this down. Let's pull this into the folder. Control 1. Close that. This is why we save pieces, right? In fact, I'm going to walk that back a little bit. Let's say body cut. We're going to turn off pieces. I'm going to say okay, that's good. I'm just going to subdivide that once just to give it a little bit nicer of a surface, a little bit smoother of a surface. Not that I think it's going to matter at this scale. I'll leave it. It'll be fine. Okay, so let's see. We're going to do this, and we're going to say Boolean with dynamic subdiv. And then what we're going to want to have is we're going to want to take the hair and make that part of the head. So let's do this again. I'm going to say delete all. We're just going to get rid of that pieces folder, and we're going to kind of start over from what we have here. And then we're going to be able to use the hair, or like the body, to cut away from the hair. I think that will work nicer, and I think it'll look nicer. Let's turn off the Sculptris Pro. We don't need that. Let's solo this out. Same thing. I mean, we've got the bow. Let's isolate that. Control W. Okay, so that's its own thing. Okay. In fact, we can go ahead and we can say split hidden, just so that we can start to. I'm going to make a new pieces folder. This way we can start to isolate some things. Yeah, let's turn on our lines again. And I'm going to turn on my select rectangle. Let's play with this. Let's get this going. So many poly groups. Okay, this should be just the head. Very nice. Okay, same thing here. We're going to want to say poly groups, auto groups. Let's grab those bits, grab the head bit. Okay. With the shirt, let's come over here to the shirt and we'll say grab that. Okay, that's actually looking nice. I'm not going to worry about solidifying that. I do, however, want to select the arm pieces. We're going to come over here and say maybe about right here we can say slice curve, kind of like what we did before, where it's like just leading up behind that shoulder, so that way there's this nice clean space for it to go into, right? Okay, let's go back to our select rectangle. Hide that. We'll come over here and we will say polygroups. Where is my polygroups? Auto groups. Hide that, hide that, hide that. So now we should be left with just the body. And this will be a really good way to start our day. Here, let's go ahead and turn off the line so we can see more what it is that we've got. Let's get those colors to be more unique. Okay. Very cool. This is going to be so much cleaner and easier to work with. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and we can combine. Yeah, okay, good. We've got the bow already. And the bow will be its own thing, but the head and the hair will be put together. Let's go ahead and say group split. Okay. So I'm going to say Control W for that hair. And in fact, let's turn off solo mode. And let's say with the head, I'm going to turn off everything except for what we're dealing with here. So that way we've got the head and the hair. The head itself needs to be closed, so let's come down here, geometry, close holes. Really nice and easy, right? Okay. Now a big part of the joke here is to make sure that this is not getting too thin, because this is going to be really thin. It's not going to be super nice to work with. So just for the sake of making sure that I have different polygroups here, I'm going to go ahead and grab this, and I'm going to say Control, click, and drag. Just so that way this doesn't become like this sharp razor edge point. Oh, something is amiss. Let's say polygroups, auto groups, just for the sake of hopefully making sure that we have the one polygroup to rule them all. Okay, that's much nicer. Oops. Okay. Now let's go ahead. Let's make a little key. I don't think I have a key piece. I should actually add that to my IMM primitives. It's just a nice key piece. Let's go ahead and reset that orientation. Come over here, say taper. Let's taper it in here at the bottom. Okay, so a couple of things I'm going to want to check. I'm going to want to check to make sure that this is, working the way that I want. I'm going to want to make sure that it's not coming through and interfering with my general character surface. Okay, so right here you can see it's coming through on the neck, but it might be one of those things that's probably all right. Okay, let's turn on the body just to make sure. Yep, it's not all right. So this is why we check things, right? Okay, so there's our little key. Looks good. We want to make sure you see how it's like nice and narrow at the bottom versus, wider at the top. That makes it so that there's a nice draft angle so it doesn't get stuck, so that it fits nicer and, things like that. It makes it really, really nice. I am going to call that good. Although I do want this to be its own piece. I'm going to say split hidden. We're going to say head key. It's like lock and key. It was a good show. I really liked it. It was fun. Geometry crease. We'll say crease all. Then we'll just say D. Bring our subdivision levels down quite a bit and our dynamic up. Ooh, we're going to need to bring this up quite a bit, maybe to 5. Bring a crease level up to like 4. And so this is kind of what we're left with. And that'll work pretty well. I do want it to be a little bit softer though, so let's say smooth down to 4. Or I guess I don't have to make my smooth down to 4. I can just make a smooth up to 5 and then do something like that. That'll fit a little bit more nicely. It'll make it, because like the tight corners, the sharp edges, you can often run into issues with the way that it keys together, especially if you don't cure it properly. I like to double down on safety and just make it so that it's nice and round. So we've got that going on there. That should work nicely. Very cool. Okay, so let's turn the body off. I'm going to rename this. Let's come down here and say geometry, modify topology, close holes. So lovely. This piece is pretty close to done. I mean, all we need to do is cut things out and make sure that it's working nicely. Here's what I'm going to do though. I'm going to say polygroups, auto groups. Just control click and drag out. The thing that I'm wanting to do here is I want to make sure that there is enough of a surface here for when I go ahead and make the arm that it can kind of penetrate, really cut things out. Same thing with the head, but the head I think is like the neck should be just fine. The tail should be just fine. So I'm just going to call that good right there. Okay, so this piece should be ready to receive cuts. Okay, so let's come over here. Let's turn off our solidity here. The bow is something that I can probably go ahead and finish out first. And here's my reasoning. Here's my reasoning. So think about this. So the bow is going to cut into the head's going to cut into the body, the arm's going to cut into the body. So if I finish the bow and the arm first, then I don't have to worry about doing anything else with them at all. And then those pieces can then cut into the other pieces. So let's do stuff. Let's do some stuff. All right, let's say with the bow, let's turn this on. We're going to say geometry, close holes. That is a yellow poly group. I'm going to kind of pull this out. Just kind of shrink that down and flatten it out so that it's a nice even surface. Okay. And then we're going to do, in fact, we could probably just reuse the key from the head. Control Shift D. I'm going to bring this down. You know what? I'm going to say Control 1. I'm going to say merge down. Bring this up. Place this in contact. And make it so nice. Okay, so here's something that I want to do. I want to take this piece here. I should have done this before, but I neglected to. In fact, let's do this. Let's say split hidden. Take this, turn on our geometry, dynamic subdivisions up to 5, our crease level down to 2 or 3, whatever it was. Let's put it to 3. I like 3. 3 is good. Dynamic, apply, come up to subtools. Now we can merge down. Oh, in fact, before we merge down, let's grab this. I'm going to say Control D just once, so that way we get a little bit. You got a little bit too messy in there in the edges. I mean, it's not going to show up at scale. So having the smoother might be good. It might be good. Let's do it. We'll say we'll have it smoother. Merge it down. Into geometry, there should be, yeah, you see that we got some subdivisions. So we don't want to worry about subdivisions. We're just going to have it be nice and lovely. Let's get rid of some of this junk here on the back. We just want this to smooth out some so that hopefully we don't have any kind of weird hitches with the way that this interfaces with the hair. Especially down here, I feel like this could be a spot where it might like grasp onto it. Why did you cut the body into the arm? Won't that make it more sturdy? Doesn't matter with cuts into which. So So the arm is going to cut into the body. It's going to have a key that goes into the shoulder, and that's what's going to make that work well. Um, Hopefully, I understood your question properly. But yeah, that's kind of the idea is making sure that it's nice and sturdy. Having the key go from the smaller piece into the bigger piece in that particular instance is going to be the smart way to go. Um, so yeah, here's like the bow going into the head, which I think I might take the head and or the bow, the key from the bow, and make it a little bit more better. A little bit bigger, a little bit taller. Cool. Okay, so I can call that bow done, probably, right? That's probably all right. Okay, understood. Very nice. Let's go ahead and kind of make that all one poly group. Should be fine just as is, especially for now. Okay, so this is going to become a negative piece. Let's go ahead and those other pieces should be good. Let's go turn on live boolean just to be able to see what it is that we're getting. This is what that head piece is going to look like, which is pretty fantastic. Now, one of the other things that I can do, in fact, I'll do it in a minute because I do need to make sure that I have the key for the bow taken into account. I want to make the head hollow. I'll make the body hollow as well, but I need to make these things hollow so that they print more easily, so that they use less material. Uh, Really kind of a process, but it's a fun process. So I do it. Let's go into pieces. Let's go ahead and say Boolean with dynamic subdivisions. Let's check out our new beauty here. You can see here are some floating bits. Okay, so let's go ahead and take those geometry, modify topology, delete hidden. Okay, so there is a head piece, and so now we have a head piece and a bow piece, and those are done. Um, I'm going to say U mesh head just so that way we can tell what it is that we're working with. Let's take these, turn those off. Let's grab, oh, we don't need the body yet. Um, okay, so here's what we want to do. Let's turn off the bow. Okay, I want to take this piece and make a unified skin, or an adaptive skin, unified skin. What is it called? Let's see if I can find it. It's always kind of tricky to find, and I don't know why. I use it all the time, but it's like I can never remember exactly where I leave it. um, Unified skin. There we go. So you see there's a resolution, there's a smoothing. We're just going to go ahead and test it, make unified skin, and see what it gives us. So you see that? So this is the mesh, but it's been kind of mushed down into this really simplified sort of piece. I'm going to start off by kind of getting rid of some of these details here. Anything that's too detailed will create complications for the process. So we're just going to get rid of some of these thinner bits. All right. Now watch this. This is magic. This is magic. Okay, so we've got this. Now if we take this back over into our subtool, into our tool list here, let's say insert, we'll bring in this skin. You can see it's pretty close to the scale of what it is that we're working on, right? I want it to fit inside so that we can make it hollow, right? So let's grab this deformation, inflate, and wrap. Okay, so you can see more or less how much this is working. That's definitely like too much though. Maybe do it something kind of like this. And then there will be some areas that I have to go through and just refine manually, you know? So we got stuff like that. We got stuff like this. Kind of smooth out the ears and the hair. Yeah, this stuff doesn't need to be super defined. We do need to have that nice big gaping hole to be able to fit in where the key goes. Okay, and the nice thing is that because the bow, the piece that this key needs to be able to hold, is not so super heavy, we don't have to worry too much about strength issues, strength integrity, tensile strength for those pieces. Just going to kind of smooth some of this down so that it's nice and easy to work with. Let's go ahead and turn off Sculptress Pro. I'm just going to kind of sculpt this in so that it's on the inside. Sculpting it to be on the inside. And a couple of spots here, like on the corners of the eyes. The mouth. Let's let it be just a little bit thicker in here and see if we can here, let's grab that. I think there's a hole in the hair, so we're gonna have to fix that in a minute. That'll be fine. Okay, one of the things that I need to think about is getting vent holes on here. Okay, so a really nice, easy place to be able to put some sort of vent hole would be like right up in here, and maybe hiding one down in here in the hair somewhere. So let's see about doing something like that. I need this. Do something kind of like this, and then with this piece, like I said, I'm just trying to hide it somewhere. Maybe it's better to just take this and kind of hide it down here, actually. It'll be a little less easy to spot, although there could be a greater opportunity or a greater chance for a cup back here. So I think that'll be my reasoning for putting it here. Let's make sure that's not going through that section. Okay, that should be good. It looks like there's a little bit of an extra knob here, so let's just grab and flatten this out. I don't want to have to fight with too many cups, and having this be nice, and solid in the neck. I think that's going to be better anyway. So a vent hole. In fact, I might still have. Nope, it looks like I've covered them on Sweet Tooth, so I can't show you on Sweet Tooth. Let me see. This guy right here is a good example. Let me switch over to webcam mode. So you can see, like, on the bottom, there's this hole going to the inside of this print. There we go. So you can see there's the hole, and you can see some support material, and there's little sticks. That hole makes it so that when it's printing, it doesn't create a suction cup when it's hollowed, and because like otherwise, if that hole wasn't there, it would be creating like a bowl shape with the print, and because of that, it creates this suction on the print bed, and it can tear your print off of the print bed, and ruin your print, and waste material, waste time, all sorts of things. It makes you cry. It's a big thing. So anyway, so those vent holes. Some pieces I make them bigger. Some pieces I make more of them. It's just a little family statue, and this has like a lot of vent holes in the bottom. But yeah, if your piece is going to be solid, it doesn't really matter. If your piece is going to be, let me see. Oh, like for instance, my jack-o'-lantern. My jack-o'-lantern is like pretty much all hollow, you know. But to be able to print that well, shoot. There we go. It's like, what's the right direction? To be able to print that well, I still had to give it some like a vent hole down here. Otherwise, I would have had some suction, and it would have pulled it right off the printer. So yeah, it's a simple thing. It's a simple thing, and there are lots of ways to be able to add these vent holes. Leonard, who's on here on the stream, he has a different piece of software that he uses to prep things for print, and it's really, really cool. I am very simple in that sort of way. Well, I guess simple. By simple, I mean like complicated, and I do it by hand. So yeah, that'll be my little vent hole. And I'm actually going to split unmasked. Let's go ahead and make these negative. Okay. And now what we can do is we can come up and we can say Boolean with dynamic subdiv. Come down here, and you can see now we've got this hole inside of our mesh. This stuff used to take like forever to do. And let me show you the inside of the head, so you can see now it's got like this thickness, this wall thickness going around. We can see places like right here where it's a little bit thinner, but I think this should be just fine. Oh, you can see a hole right there. I don't really want a hole. I can just go back and redo it, but that's good to know. This is why we go through and we check things, right? So okay, so we've got this. We're going to grab that piece and just kind of pull it down and in. Okay, the rest of it should be fine. Face cam. Something's always crazy. I'm so sorry, guys. But yeah, and now we're done. No, just kidding. So, so just to show you, I guess, kind of what it is that I had happen, we had this bit where right over here, it created a hole, and I don't want there to be a hole right there. So we came up, I fixed this piece so that it's inside the head now, and it's not gonna be creating that issue. So now I just have to go ahead. I'll delete this. Let's turn this back on. Turn off the transparent view, Boolean dynamic subdiv, and now we're good. Now you can see we're not getting that hole like we were before. That's great. I do want to make sure that I have close holes. Okay. You can see it clipped a little bit, but that's fine. Just going to smooth that just a smidge, just so that it feels more controlled and intentional, right? Cool. Beautiful. So now we can go through, we can slice it, we can check it, we can see our wall thickness. This is kind of what I was showing you before, and you can see like oh, here, you can see the wall thickness around the key port there. All sorts of cool things here. Okay. So much better. So now this piece is good and done and ready to go. Don't give away the magic. I want to give away the magic. Yeah, so the idea it's just all part of a business ploy, right? You know? No. Yeah, granted, I don't have a huge following, but the hope is that, that the stuff that I do is helpful and useful and someday soon when I go ahead and um, open up my mentorship stuff, um, I want that to be something that maybe people see as a valuable way of being able to gain some education without having to go through a massive institution. Let's go ahead and kind of get that crease to ease in and out. That's looking so good. Here, let's go ahead and hit save. I'm going to say, let's rename this print. The torture I went through. Yeah. Oh, here, let's go through and double check, make sure that we don't have any floaties, and we do. So let's go ahead and delete hidden. Boom. Okay, so now that piece is ready. Another thing that I find usually helps with making sure that something is print ready is go ahead and we can see the edges on here. Um, we have almost 500,000 points on this particular piece, so we can come up here, decimation master. It should, number of points wise, it should be just fine. I'm going to put in 500k points, hit custom, and let this do its decimation process. And this becomes something I've noticed that this helps to clean things up in a really nice way so that it's here, let's go ahead and lighten my material again. It just makes it so that things read and transfer a little bit better. So you can see that's nice. That's nice. Cool. Okay, you mesh head. I'm going to go ahead and make a folder. Go ahead and make a folder. I'm going to say say done. With this piece, let's also go through and make this done. Okay, with the head, I'm going to want to make sure that I'm using a head, especially a finished head, to cut out. I guess I don't really need to use a finished head. Let's go ahead and delete this, because we have this head that we can go ahead and use. I haven't made any changes to the bottom area here, and that's the area that I need to be able to cut. Ooh, something I forgot. Something I forgot about. Okay, we need to take the body, and we're going to use the body before the cutting. Because we need to use this to cut into the hair. So I'm going to say Control 1. Oh, say Control 1. We're good. Select rectangle. Perfect. Get rid of all these pieces that do not belong. Get rid of the neck and the, oh, not that. Here, let's say polygroups, auto groups. Yeah, let's get rid of that head. We can get rid of the tail too. It's not really like a huge deal. You know, anything that's not going to have to do with those shoulders, we can get rid of all these things down here. Bloop, bloop, stuff like that. I'm just kind of going hog wild and deleting all these things that just don't matter for this particular part of the process anyway, right? Geometry, delete hidden, close holes, Control W, just so that it's all one solid little piece here. Now remember, this is for the sake of being able to cut out from the hair. So I'm going to turn that to a negative. I'm going to turn this off. And then let's turn this off. Okay, so now this is going to be tricky, because I want to make sure. Okay. I've got to think through this a little bit more, because I've got to cut away from the hair while not cutting away from the head. Dude, Kareem, thanks for coming and hanging out. Have a good night. Okay. So we've got this that can cut away from the hair, but we need to make sure that it doesn't cut away from the head. Here's what we're gonna do. I mean, I'm going like way too. I'm going way too much in a circle on this. Here, let's see. Invert that. We'll say geometry, delete hidden, close holes. This way I can use this as a plus. Bring this down here. Okay, turn on live Boolean. So you can see like this is cutting into the hair. That could work because it's going to create like a vent, but I don't know that I really want So here's what I'm going to do. I do want to fix this so that this is not... Oh, you know what? Oh, that's so... Oh, okay. It's like... Hmm. Yeah, let's go ahead and say polygroups. We're going to group by normals. It's probably going to come out with like a bajillion polygroups. I do need to save. I did save just a few minutes ago, so I should hopefully be maybe all right. Yeah, it's trying to think. There we go. There we go. Just kind of raise that up so that it's not too bad. Okay, so now we can see that we're getting that effect. We are getting a little bit of a trouble spot here, though. Okay, let's do something here. Let's take this. No, I don't want to do that. It's like this is creating a little bit of a hitch, though, and I let's see. I think I might have to, because that's going to fit better. Otherwise, it's creating too tight of a space here, and it becomes a little bit of like a just kind of round that out some, round this out some. Because then when we go through and we use the head to cut away from the body, I think that that'll help to kind of eliminate some of that. I think you could just step back and it would go quicker. Yeah, maybe. We don't do things quick here. Here, let's go through and say Boolean with dynamic subdivisions. Yeah, it's going to create all sorts of a mess for me. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. Because that is going to create issues for me. I want to make sure that I don't create issues for myself. Oops. Let's cut down to there so that we have a bit more of all this. Okay, maybe keep this as just like the as just the key. In fact, maybe what we do is we just turn this off, run it first without it, and then we run it with it. Okay, let's try this again. Live Boolean, just to kind of see what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen, right? So let's say we'll commit it. Okay, turn those pieces off. We're going to say alright. Boolean dynamic subdiv. So now we'll have issues still, but I mean it should hopefully be fixable. And just a nice run over with the what's it called? What's this called? Decimation. What is this called? The Sculptris Pro. And that's fixing all those little bugs. Oh, you can see it's eating a hole into it though. It's a moth tool. Geometry, close holes. Just getting rid of sharp edges. Getting rid of everything really. Just like, just get rid of everything. Now I'm gonna have to check and see once I get to that point of like whether or not this is actually going to keep the detail in the neck. It should be just fine. This should work out really, really nicely, and it should fit into the. You want to say delete, 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 delete. Move this up into the head. So now we've got our head. We've got the bow. Okay, turn off live boolean because we don't need live boolean on anymore, and we can have that as an additive. It doesn't really matter as much anymore. Yeah, so much nicer. So much nicer. Okay, so 2 pieces are done. 2 pieces are ready. I'm going to say Control-Shift-D on that head. Or I guess like we said earlier, I guess we don't really technically have to duplicate that. Okay, so we've got the body. Okay, I want to prep the tail and the arm first. Let's delete things that we don't need here. Delete, delete. Let's go ahead and grab the arm, the tail. Okay. First things first, we close our holes. Okay. Second things first. Oh, in fact, let's check just to double, make sure that we only have, this poly group in the one spot, right? Okay, again, just trying to make sure that I'm getting a good thickness to this piece so it's not fragile. Okay, and that's looking pretty cool. It's looking pretty good. Make sure that that's all one poly group, just in case there was like a hole somewhere else that it filled. Cool. This is going to be kind of interesting because in order for these pieces to work nicely, ooh, I have an idea. I have an idea, and this could potentially work out really kind of in a cool way. I'm going to grab this, and I'm just going to like control click and drag that out. It was working better in my head. Because essentially what I was thinking is like, well, if I do this, I can have an interlocking piece. So you insert the arm, insert the head holds the arm in place. Um, it could work. It could work. It's just I'm not gonna stress it too much. That's called stressing it too much. Yeah, let's come up here. Let's grab the head key. Here, let's make sure that this is applied. Let's say delete lower just so that we know that it's okay. This is really, really tight. I don't like having things this tight. There are a couple of nice things, like for instance the hair. The hair is going to help keep. Yeah, it is something that you could spend a week on really easy. Yeah, like Japanese furniture. Like, sorry, I'm like shaking the table. It's like earthquake. Sorry. Um, like how they have like the really cool interlocking joints. Um, really, really neat, beautiful stuff. Um, I think that um, having a simple piece in here like this, in addition to being held by the hair, I think that that's going to work just fine. So I'm going to say, let's take that head key and that arm. I'm going to say Control Shift D just so that I can keep that arm as it is. Let's make it its own poly group here. That should help. That should help hold everything in place. Okay, that's cool. I'm going to go ahead and pull that down into the finished pieces folder. But I also want to make sure that I have one that I can use to cut into the body. So I'm going to turn this to a negative. I can turn this off. The tail needs to be finished, so let's do that real quick too. Close holes. just like with the other things. I'm just for the sake of being thorough. Let's go ahead and kind of flatten that down some. And I want to make sure that I'm trying to, cause like this is getting really thin. I want to make sure that it's not like egregiously thin to the point of becoming a problem. Oh, this is exciting. We're getting so close, and then I can send this lovely lady off to print. Okay, with this, I'm not going to use a square key. I'm just going to take what I have and control drag that out, just because like this will help to just have a simple key. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. There's only one direction it can fit because it's got this really unique shape. And by tapering it, we're helping to ensure that it here, I'm just going to try to like round out that surface a little bit. There we go. There is the tail. So the tail is done. Okay, Control Shift D. Bring this up, make it negative. Now, one thing that I will tend to do when I am looking at, oh here, where is the, yeah, that's not what I want. I want the actual headpiece. Let's go ahead and turn the body on. Here, let's go ahead and Control Shift D just to make sure that we have stuff the way that we need it. Cool. Let's do live boolean. Okay, so this is the effect that we're getting on our character's body right now. You can see the tail hole too. Okay. Now, she's going to cut into the pumpkin, I think. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm still kind of torn on whether or not I actually want the you know that wow. Why is that like that? Yeah, I'm going to turn that off. Huh. For some reason it's like it just doesn't look as vibrant. What's different about it? Sorry, I'm like jumping around. My brain is so scattered right now. It's like I'm looking at the color correction that it's adding here to my frame that you can see on my ZBrush Live one. But then if I go over to my smartest frame, oh, I didn't even notice the difference. That is so not fair. There is no difference. There's literally no difference. But when I go ahead and turn on my, it's like it's so not vibrant. It doesn't feel like it's actually doing anything. Oh, you know what? I didn't even check that. Here, let me see. Visual preset. Let's go in and we'll check that real quick because this is something that's just bothering me. It's like, why is it bothering me? I don't know. Dramatic. That's why. It's just saying we're being dramatic. That's better. Oh, thank you. Oh, it's a bit better. Ah, dramatic. Okay, I think we should be close enough, I guess. We'll just call it close enough. Dang it. Dang it. There are a few things that are more frustrating to me than not having color space work the way that it ought to. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, so now the other thing that I will do is that since these pieces are not meant to be my final pieces, I will actually take them and we will say inflate just by like one or two. Say one. What do I have selected right now? Oh, okay. We'll say the arm and then the tail. Same thing. We're just going to take it and we're going to say inflate by like one. Okay. The thing that this allows us to have is a nice, a nicer intersection, so I don't have to worry about the pieces creating too much of a mess. Let's grab the tail. Same thing with the tail. Oops, that might have been too much. One. Okay, you can see it's creating some little artifacts and things like that. We'll have to fix that in a minute, but it should be fine. Let's go ahead and say Boolean with dynamic subdiv. Yes. And then here is our body piece. Now we still have to go through and make the body hollow. But we'll get to that in just a minute. Gotta make sure that the holes it's not forming holes. Oh, that's getting to be a little bit too... Here, with this particular piece, let's go ahead and change our Z intensity down to something like really low. So that way it's adding resolution without actually changing our mesh too bad. Yeah, we're just going to kind of come around here. Okay, now we can go ahead and add some actual smooth to this. And the idea is to make sure that it's keeping its form as much as possible because it's made to fit really tight with another piece, right? So we want to make sure that we are very careful with how these pieces are smoothed after they've been keyed, because otherwise it loses that exact fit. Looks good. Let's go ahead and smooth this a little bit too. Doesn't have to be as smooth as it can be, but you know. Just gotta get that to smooth down some. Get rid of that just so it's a little bit nicer of a surface. This is turning out nicely. Alright. So now we've got this body. We need to add in poor girl, she's gonna need some vent holes. Probably 2. I'm guessing I'll probably add one in here to the back of the heel, or underneath the foot right here. This could be a nice spot for it, and then one back here on her rear end somewhere. So here's what we're gonna do. Same thing. Let's go ahead and turn this on. We'll turn off these other pieces that we don't need at the moment. Okay, and just like we did with the other piece, we're going to say, let's go down. Is it only sampling one color? Oh, you're talking about the frame. Sampling doo-doo color. Let's go into the unified skin. Let's make this. Okay, so let's go ahead and say deformation will inflate. Okay, let's go ahead and take this back over, and we'll test it. We'll say subtool. I was like, what am I looking for? I'm going to say insert. Let's get that skin in there. And same thing that we did with the face, we gotta make sure that this is not going through the outside. Otherwise, it's going to be creating quite a headache for me. It's kind of interesting to me to see how it is that it decides to, like, I feel like it didn't honor the shapes quite as well as the head, but then again, it's got some much more severe overhang and bigger shapes and all sorts of things going into it. Okay. Here, I'm going to try something. We're going to say insert cube. I'm going to make this into a negative thing here just to be able to check our thicknesses. Let's go ahead and lower this so we can see. See, I'm trying to go through and make sure that all the way through this stuff is creating. Okay, now I can check my thicknesses. So you can see right here we're getting a little hole. So we need to grab this. And we'll just kind of pull it in right here. Pull it in right here. Pull it out a bit right there. check as it goes down further. Okay, so far so good. I'm going to take this back a little bit so I can see a little bit more what it is that I'm doing. Ridiculous. Okay, right here I'm going to want to modify it a little bit. Okay, a little bit right there, a little bit right there. And I know it's somebody's bound to be thinking it. It's like, why isn't he just going through and using the Dynamesh thickness method? And it's like, well, it just makes this way I get to use booleans and get cleaner shapes. Whereas with Dynamesh, I sacrifice some of the crisp edge detail that I have on the outside. It gets to be less clean. So that's the difference. Right there's a spot where I'm definitely going to want to make sure that that's nice and compensated. Oh, right there too. Okay. I'm not going to worry about these points right here and here. I think that should be fine enough. It doesn't break through. It just gets a little bit thin. It should be fine. It's not... it's not creating too much of an issue. This right here, though, this will be an issue. So let's go ahead and let's fix this a little bit. That's creating a bit of a hole. Okay, that'll be better. All right. Let's keep going. Almost done. Almost done. Ooh, that got real narrow. I don't want it to be this narrow here where the key is. So that'll be a spot where I definitely want to make sure that I have enough around it. And that's it. Turn that off. And now we got this going on. Oh, and then we got to go ahead and add in our vents. Yep, I'm probably going to add one here and one here. So let's say, let's grab the, do we still have the one from the, no, I think we got rid of the one from the head. That's fine. My goodness. My goodness, goodness gracious. Let's get one kind of like this. Oh, sorry, that's wrong. Okay, actually, let's maybe move it a little bit further over this way. Not a ton, because I don't want it to be super visible. It's like if we turn on our pumpkin. Oh, that's the wrong pumpkin. Where is my pumpkin? Pumpkin. Okay, so there's our pumpkin. So you can see like it's hidden by the pumpkin. So I'm not really super worried about any of that. I do want to, I don't know. I'm trying to decide how I want this to go with the actual pumpkin. Like if I want the pumpkin to be cut to fit the, or to fit her bum. I think I do, because I like the idea of her body being more complete. So let's do that. Keep the pumpkin. Let's go. Okay. So there's the hole for her bum, and then I'm going to take this here. Let's say split unmasked points. Bring this down to, it's kind of tricky because I don't want to put in a ton of holes. But I feel like I will need to put in a couple. And I'm trying to think about like how to get away with the least number, like the smallest number of holes possible. And granted, it's better to have holes and fill them in than to not have holes and lose your print. But I think something like that should work pretty well. How's the prep going? It's almost done. It's almost done. Let me see. I'm gonna say print or Boolean dynamic subdiv cannot be performed because some input subtools are invalid. Okay, so we got to go through and clean. Delete. 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 Okay, turn these back on. This means that something is not quite right. So we're going to have to check our mesh integrity against 215 edges that are shared by more than 2 polygroups. So let's say fix. Okay, it says that's fine. Let's unmask that. I was gonna say that should be fine. So let's go ahead and let's try this again. Um, one more time. Oh, let's turn off solo. Pieces. Boolean dynamic subdivisions. Let's go back down, get rid of the crap pieces that it put out. Okay, so here's what I need to do. I'm pretty sure that my issues are with this piece. It told me as much when I went ahead and did my my mesh integrity check. The thing that it's not showing me is what exactly is going on. It looks like I'm getting some weird shearing through here. Let's turn off the live booleans. You can see some really weird things happening. So let's say Control W. Okay. Okay, so here's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to go over here to geometry, modify topology, delete hidden. Oh, one more time. Oh, not that. Not that. Let's switch. Let's switch. Let's go ahead and grab this. Control Shift A. Okay, so you can see we have some floaters. Let's get rid of the floaters. Okay, first thing, get rid of the floaters. Second thing, let's go ahead and let's say decimation master. Currently it's at 319 319,000 points. So I'm going to go ahead and say, you know, not 30, 300. Hit custom so we can decimate it. It should just take a moment. I should have hit save. You can see, oh, it's working. It's working. It's working. Okay, cool. So it did that. Okay, so you can see like all sorts of garbage happening in here. Let's fix this. You can see all the holes this is creating. Okay, so this means we're just going to have a little bit of cleanup on our hands. That's fine. Wow. It's crazy to me that this happens. Part of the issue, though, is a difference between low res and high resolution geometry being mushed together. So I mean, I guess that's something to kind of watch out for and be aware of. Part of this also comes from just the fact that it's an artificial intelligence trying to make sense of what it's seeing. Let me see. Close holes. Control W. Let's try to run that one more time. Much faster this time. That means that some of the issues must have been fixed. Okay, so that's good news. That's good news. Let's try this again. Let's see. Actually, let's come down here to the mesh integrity. save that. Turn off solo. Okay. Solo. And there it goes. So yeah, had to do some work, had to do some cleanup, but you know, we always have to do some work. We always have to do some cleanup. It's just part of life. So now we have all of our pieces and they are all ready. Here, let's go ahead and move this down into, we got Control W for that. Here we're going to put that Control W, Control W, Control W, Control W, Control W. Beautiful. So now if we just do our expose, that is not a very helpful expose. Whatever. It's like spreading out like a ton vertically. But it didn't spread out at all horizontally. Like, what? No, do something useful. Here we go. So yeah, we're good. Now we've got our bow. Quentin! I'm hitting save purely because I saw your name. You good friend. Okay, so here is the bow. Oops. The head. The arm. The arm is solid. Okay. The body. Body is hollow, just like the head. Okay. And the tail. The tail is solid like the arm. That's so exciting. So her character is good and ready to go. Now we just need to work on getting that pumpkin ready to go. Yeah, let's go ahead and say delete all on the old pumpkin stuff. I'm going to leave that. I don't need this anymore. We'll say delete all. If we need any of that original stuff, you know, we can go ahead and we can get it from the old folder, or from the old file, I guess. Let's go ahead and grab the body. Control Shift D. Drag that up into pumpkin. We're going to drag pumpkin all the way down to the bottom. New TMNT? For real? When did this come out? I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to have to check that out. Okay. The body needs to be at the bottom. Whoops. Let's turn off done. Let's turn body into a negative piece. And let's take this leaf like I said, I mean, it'll have like a cool curlicue sprig coming out the top that'll be made out of wire. But I'm not going to worry about adding a hole for that until after it's printed. I'll just drill a hole into it. It'll be much easier. Dynamic. Let's take that thickness and turn that off because we don't need none of that. Let's grab the smooth and let's turn that up because we do need some of that. Yeah, let's come over here and say AccuCurve. Okay, good. Good. to smooth out. I just kind of want to add like a little bit of a more organic feel to this leaf, these leaves, as if there are more than one. To this leaf. Okay, this just helps it to feel a little bit more organic, a little bit more sculpted and cared for. Give it a little bit more of a corner down there. A little bit more of a corner right here. It's all about give and take when you're smoothing things out and sculpting and trying to make things pretty. It just, you have to learn to control it. Yeah, it's all tug of war with the tech and with the computer and with the everything else. And sometimes it's a tug of war with yourself, you know. All right, that's looking pretty good though. So let's see, those will all be added on. Oh, that's just the other version of the pumpkin we don't need. That's going to be negative. Okay, so let's go ahead and check that out. Okay, so obviously there are going to be like bits here that we need to that we'll have to get rid of, that we'll have to delete, but it should be just fine. So let's say, oops, come here you. Boolean dynamic subdivisions. Boom. So there goes that. Control Shift A. Oh, hey, look at that. Somehow this is connected. Oh, because of the hole. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Okay, I've got this. Oh, that's not what we wanted. We wanted geometry, modify topology, delete hidden. We want to come over to the normal maps, not normal maps. Shoot, what am I doing? Polygroups, group by normals, and yeah, maybe raise that up just a little bit so that it doesn't create as many. And that's looking pretty good. Geometry, delete hidden, close holes, Control W. Not even there. And because of the ridges right here, that should hold her in place. We shouldn't have to worry about. In fact, I'm gonna kind of smooth these peaks down here just a bit. Everything else should hold her in place really pretty nicely. In fact, maybe I should let it stay. It's fine. It's fine. We'll keep doing this. That's fine. That'll work. Okay, so now that's prepped and that's ready, except that I need to also hollow it out. I have a couple of options of things that I can do to hollow it out. Okay, and I've got an idea that would be really pretty stellar. I can go through, I can cut out the eyes and make it so that it's a hollow jack-o'-lantern. And I was thinking about that, and then also like essentially, literally like cutting out the bottom so that it's so that it's ready to go. So you could stick like a little tea light up in there or something, make it so that it really lights up. What do you guys think? I think I want to do it. I think I'm going to do it. Let's do it. Okay, let's I'm going to say, let's grab this and say, again, just like we did with everything else, unified skin. I'm going going to take my resolution down to like 64 though. Make unified skin. Grab that pumpkin. That is really, really... Okay, whatever. Okay, subtool, we're going to say append. Let's grab that pumpkin. Hollow it out and put a little flickering LED. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. Let's go ahead, deformation, inflate. Okay, I gotta make sure that this is accommodating all these top forms and everything before I try to work with the jack-o'-lantern face. Okay, we got that. Let's get rid of the mask on top. Here's what I'm going to do. Watch this, watch this, watch this. We're going to come over here to our polygroups. We're going to say group masked, and we're going to polish up to 1. So now I've got this nice, smooth, clean, round shape. And it's not amazing topology-wise, right? But that doesn't really matter a whole lot. So now we've got this going on. So now this piece is going to cut out the pumpkins inside and make it so that it's nice and hollow. Turn that to a negative so you can see like there's our hollow pumpkin. The thing that we need to do beyond this is, for instance, we're going to need to make some special sculpting happen to to get the eyes and the mouth kind of cut out. I might be able to make some stuff happen. Let's do this. I'm going to say polygroups, group by normals. In fact, I wonder if we could, let's group by draft angle. Where's the draft angle? There should be like a draft angle thing. Maybe it's under geometry. Stage position, dynamic, shadow box edge. There's geometry, HD deformation, masking. I was pretty sure it was in polygroups. There should be like a group masked, dynamic sub, regroup visible, group front. Oh well. Can you take the core and sculpt it forward? I could do that. The thing that I'm worried about is that then it gets really thin up around the eyes. I want it to be a little bit thicker. Of course, then I could just take whatever. Yeah, I'll just do that. I think that's a wise idea. Let's go ahead and grab this and say pull it forward, because then I can just grab whatever's on the inside and then just give it the right thickness. Cool. Yeah, it's like I spent way too much time not being productive this week and staying up late, like through the night, and I need to stop doing that. I need to take care of my brain. Like I tell my students all the time, it's like your brain's important. Don't come to class impaired. That includes, coming to class, well enough rested that you can. And it's like, here I am. Oh boy. Oh, sorry, Bella. I skipped over your question. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So I ended with Marvel like last week. Yeah. So like I've had a week of, I'll say, fun employment, but it's not really quite the. Yeah, I've been trying to have fun. I've been having fun. I've been doing some fun stuff. I got Hogwarts Legacy, and since I worked on it, I've gotten to kind of dig in and play around with it and have fun. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Why, why do I have? Yeah, they're identical. Yeah, yeah, I am. I'm interviewing currently with Blizzard, which is going really well. And I'm also interviewing with ILM. Well, I did an interview with ILM. That one I don't know that it went quite as well. So I guess it's kind of like a thanks, Caitlin. Uh, so yeah, I'm not sure exactly what to It's not that it didn't go well. It's just that I don't know what to expect because I haven't heard anything back and I've tried to follow up, but I still haven't gotten any word back from them yet. Um, you work at Blizzard now? No way. What team are you on? Congratulations. That's super cool. Yeah, ILM in San Francisco. Yeah, my brain is wanting to work maybe someday. Um, gosh. Uh, my interviews with I guess both with Blizzard and ILM are more managerial. So it's like it's less artistic, but it's also more artistic. um, it's kind of an interesting bit. So essentially, it would be managerial. It would be um, for Blizzard, it would be outsourcing. For the Overwatch character team, which would be a lot of art directing. Okay, so it'd be really, really cool. It's actually something that I'm really looking forward to if I get it. Um, yeah, you're on the Overwatch team. That's awesome. What are you? How long have you been there? I don't know that I knew, like at all. Or did I? It's like sometimes I know, and it's like I totally space it. That happens way more often than I'd like, especially more than I'd like to admit. Um, oh, this is gonna be so dope. Here, I'm just gonna try to clean up these borders with a little bit of help from Sculptress Pro. But yeah, I had like 3 or 4 interviews with Blizzard this past week. It was with people from all over the place. It wasn't just the character modeler team. It wasn't just the outsourcing team. I got to speak to some concept artists. I got to speak to a rigger. I got to speak to um, some other technical people. It was neat. It was good. A good experience. I really kind of enjoy being able to associate with all sorts of different people. Um, Turn off the IQ curve on that move brush and kind of fix this little dimple here. This is going to be exciting. Started in December. That's awesome. That is totally killer. That is so neat. That is so, so neat. Yeah, I've wanted to work on Overwatch ever since their first trailers started coming out. I only just started playing games, and I don't play a ton, but I play a little bit. And Overwatch is one of the 2 games that I play, Overwatch and Hogwarts Legacy. And um, it's like I was telling one of the guys the other day that I was interviewing with. Overwatch has become kind of this pinnacle of this standard. Um, it's a standard. It's an industry standard for aesthetic, and um, it's absolutely stunning. It's such a beautifully handled game, and there have been so many very true artists working on this game. Um, I'll have to play some more sometime because I don't. I'm absolutely miserable at it. Here, I kind of want to get this a little bit more of an angle. I feel like that gives it a little more personality. That's kind of fun. Okay. Now, whether or not this hole is big enough to support some sort of tea light, that is yet to be known. I suspect it will be just fine. Let me see. So there's the size. That should fit a tea light just fine. We'll have to see. I mean, it wouldn't fit like an actual flame, but I mean, I could figure out like an LED thing or something. If I can ask, what's the hardest question they threw at you? I'm always curious what big companies ask their interviewees. That's a good question. Um, because there was one that totally stumped me, and I had to really think about it. Um, I had to really think about it. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can think about it some. As I've said. But there she is. She is ready to print, and that's insanely exciting. Um, Hit save because that's what we ought to do. make an LED candle that would fit. The hard thing is that like I don't know how to program those things to make it flicker, you know, and that could be really really cool to make it so that it can flicker. Um, some other time. Let me see. What is the hardest question? Can you teach me, Leonard? Would you be willing to teach me? Is it like a matter of having like the little Arduino and the and all the little like, or I guess a little soldering iron and things like that. But would you be willing to teach me? Because that'd be super cool. Um, yeah, that's ready. That's ready. Let's. It's easier than you think. I could believe that. Let's go to the 3D print hub. Oh, and let's check one more time. 17 centimeters. So that way we know what it is that we need to input when we. Oh, 17 centimeters. So 170. Let's put that in. We'll say here at the Y direction, it's 170. Here, let's go through, rename this body, head, pumpkin, save. Yeah, no worries, Leonard. I got you. I got you. Export to STL, and we're going to make a new folder underscore print. Save. Um, use the subtool name as the file name, so that way it goes and exports all the pieces as they're named in the subtool list. Cool. I don't currently have, or I don't have my printer plugged in right now either, so it's not really a huge deal either way. Um, but I don't currently have preform installed on my computer. So I would have to go ahead and install that. Let's do this. Let's do this. Form Labs. There we go. Stereolithography. Boy, I'm getting hungry. It's 3 o'clock. I've had breakfast, but I had breakfast after I streamed. Well, I guess I didn't stream this morning. I had I had breakfast. Preform. Download for Windows. Oh, I gotta log in. Don't look at my password, guys. Okay. Download preform for Windows. Beautiful. We're making some progress. This is beautiful. This is gonna be fun. We're going to have a toy. And she's gonna be able to sit right next to right next to Sweet Tooth. I'm gonna have to like make a good display shelf. I want to go ahead and make Tsushiyama too at some point. Not today, but possibly another day this week. Um, let's go ahead and close that one because we don't need that. Almost done downloading. I agree. Install. Yes. Oh, look at that. It blanked out when I went to approve. Set it up. Okay. Now, I'll go ahead and I'll bring in the file and see how much of it I can fit into a single print. I suspect that I will need. Ooh, I've got an idea. Let's set up the pumpkin to print because something that I just thought of is that I have this all this modeling and talk about food is making me hungry. I feel so hungry all the time. Go to Hot Chicks and get yourself some chicken. Oh, I got some chicken downstairs. Yeah, serving plate today. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I want to go through and send these out. Um, you know what? I'm going to do like a small scale version. I'm going to do like a 50% size, just so I should be able to get the whole print on there. Um, just to be able to have a test print, and she'll be like maybe 2 or 3 inches tall, like how tall they would ideally be if they were real life. Um, so this would be a good way to test it. I Yeah, so in the end, I want them to be about 3 inches tall, um, which is a lot smaller than I'm intending to print this out at. One of the things I want to do is that I've got um, the color kit resin, like what I used to be able to print my mermaid. Here, let me pull up my mermaid since we're waiting for stuff anyway. Uh, yeah, so my mermaid. Oh, I can't reach. Okay. Yeah, so she's super fun. Um, but I was able to use that color kit resin from Form Labs to be able to just mix her skin tone outright, and it turned out a lot paler than I wanted. So I'll have to be, I guess, a little bit more careful in that I'm wanting to get a pretty specific color with pumpkin spice. Um, because I do want it to have kind of like that, kind of a sandy sort of color. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see kind of how it turns out. Um, but I love how this resin works. It's beautiful. It's so nice to work with. Really super enjoyed it. So um, the idea will be to make sure that it sure is taking a while to finish processing. Um, to have it so that they are, a good like 3 inches tall. Um, because as an actual food demon, they'd be running around, they'd be about that tall. um, but then I also want to have, collectible statues that are more like this particular one would probably measure about, I want to say 17 centimeters, about 7 or 8 inches tall. Um, yeah, about 7 inches tall. Um, man, it does not want to finish its loading. It's still trying to process, and I think it might just be that it's struggling in trying to process against the stream. It's like we got the stream going on, and we got the. It's like, why are you making me do all this hard work? Um, but yeah, dang, I'm so excited, guys. Like I cannot even begin to describe. Okay, so you can see a little bit of a seam there, but I think that should be just fine. It's minimal, and it's in a hidden spot. It's like it's not a very visible, obvious spot. So So yeah, I think that's the idea. I'm going to use my my color kit resin, and we're going to use that to print her out. Um, ooh, I didn't think about that. Cause like in using the color kit to print her out, that's going to put her mug out. Of course, the mug doesn't have to have subsurface scattering, so I can probably paint this with an enamel, like a white enamel or something like that, so that it's nice and solid and opaque. Get a good cinnamon. I don't know. Like I don't know. I have to think through all that, figure that out. Doggone. Yes, cancel that because you're being slow. It doesn't even want to. Is it still going? Like what is it doing? I don't even know. Bonjour. Oh well. I'll call it. I'll call it good. We finished prepping this lovely lady for print, and we've been on for a while, so might as well. Oh, setup failed. Good. Okay, thank you. Um, we'll figure it out here in a minute. I might go ahead and just finish upload or finish doing that off stream, just to yeah, time to go eat. Go eat. Go do the eating thing. Uh, yeah. So this is where we ended up, and this is just so much fun. It's so much fun. I am so excited to have this and to have this in tangible space. Like you have no idea. Oh, I'm sure you have an idea. It's cool. It's exciting, right? Yeah, hit save. Yeah, yep, save. Let's do the save thing. Here, let's go ahead also and say z plugin just for the sake of making sure that I have my color material set because I kind of like that orange clay sort of look. It's just nice, you know? There's that, but if we turn on Redshift renderer, ooh, should just take a second. Ah, now it's doing something. Look at it go. Oh my goodness, she is so lovely. Isn't she lovely? One thing that I don't like, in fact, maybe if I come in here, it'll give me options. One thing that I don't like, and I gotta remember how it is that it works. There is so like if you turn on your floor grid and you render, it's going to give you like this literal platform, and I don't like having the literal platform. I feel like that really messes some things up. Um, oh, and it's floating because it's not directly sitting. Anyway, whatever. Um, it's there. It's there. It's fun. It's exciting. We're just gonna have fun. Go eat. um, so yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll finish installing the what's it called? Uh, the preform software and get her sent off to print off stream, and it should be good. It should be good. It should be fun. It should be amazing. And then I should be able to hopefully show you guys a nice print either tomorrow or the next day. So, gosh, thanks for coming and hanging out. I always have fun with you guys, and I have fun working on my personal projects too. I appreciate y'all. Hope you guys have an amazing day. And Bella, again, congratulations. Don't know if you're still there, but congratulations. I'll see y'all next time I see you. Smartest out.